Hey there, everyone. It's Sal again. And now, today, I've got Leanne Jenkins with us. And Leanne, hi. Thanks for coming
How
on.
are you, Sal?
Good, thanks, darling. So let me just give a little spiel about yourself. You're the Regain Your Brain expert. You use your naturopathic techniques and tools to help people regain their brain clarity, enhance their memory skills, and blow away the brain fog. Wow, that sounds awesome. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, look, it was funny. I wanted to change niche, and I had the opportunity. It was only 2 weeks ago. I don't know if you've heard of Dr. Dale Bredesen, and he's leading the world in actually reversing Alzheimer's. So back in 2014, he came out with an actual study where 90% of the people he worked with had their Alzheimer's reversed. So they were able to rest themselves. They were able to hold conversations. They were able to go back to their job. And I found that absolutely fascinating because we had a tree change about 9 months ago. And when we had this tree change, we'd had a lot of stress in the lead up to it. So, you know, everything in your life changes. And the only thing that was the same was I was still married to the same bloke, and we still had our animals. So, but everything else was different. And look, I thought I sailed through that really well. And a month after that, what happened was one of our dogs had been run over, and that was pretty stressful. And anyway, we'd gone over to see my parents, and we were talking about, you know, losing the dog, and my hubby mentioned the dog's name, and I just said to him, "That's not the dog's name." Whoa. And my husband kind of looked at me and he said, "Yes, it is." And I said, "No, it's not." Like, I was really emphatic. Whoa. And he said, "Well, what's the dog's name, Leanne?" And I said, "I don't know, but it's not that." And he went, "Oh, really?" And he said, "I think we're going to the emergency department," because I was not making sense. So off we went to the hospital, and they CAT scanned my brain to make sure I hadn't bled in the brain and that sort of thing. And then the emergency doctor who was looking at me, you know, she said, "Well, you know, what did you eat for dinner last night?" And I said, "Oh, well, you know, have we had steak and veg?" And my hubby's saying, "Oh, I wouldn't have been able to answer that, you know." And then she said to me, "What did you do yesterday?" And I did not know. I had no idea what we'd done. And we'd actually gone away for the day and gone on a trip, and I just couldn't recall any of that. So after eliminating the fact that they thought I might have had, you know, bleed with a stroke or something like that, they actually diagnosed what they call a TGA, or transglobal amnesia. So there's, I don't know, some 0% you know, people get that in the population, and I just happen to be one of them. So a few different causes, but the only two causes I could relate to was one, lots of stress, or lots of extreme vigorous sex. Now, I knew my memory wasn't good, but I knew that hadn't happened in the past 24 hours, so I was kind of safe on that one. But yeah, so to experience and know that I couldn't remember, and see like what that was doing to my family and how that affected them, yeah, it really made me quite passionate about my own brain health. And so this is where I started to drift off from my original passion and become passionate about the brain health, and want to go down that line of preventing cognitive problems. So, and hence, when I had this opportunity, I looked up this guy's website, and he had this conference going on. And it was over in Miami. You guys are in Hawaii. And I thought, well, could I go to Hawaii, drop in there, fly to Miami? How much is that going to cost me? How many hours? Oh, my God. And I thought, no. Oh, my God, look at that. There's a live streaming component. So that's what I did. I signed up for the conference, did his conference,
Yep.
Learned all his techniques about how to prevent Alzheimer's.
Whoa.
So that's where I'm coming from these days.
Frightening time for you. How did you feel throughout it?
Oh, look, it was kind of interesting because, like, a lot of the cognition came back by the time they released me from the hospital.
Yeah.
But I still didn't feel like me. I felt better than I had, and I was feeling more me, but I still wasn't back to me. And that was like, I don't know, that was the Saturday of Mother's Day. So I had Mother's Day home, and then Monday I went back to work, and I thought, how am I going to deal with my clients? I don't think I've got my shit together yet. It probably took 2 or 3 weeks where I really thought, yeah, okay, I'm back to me.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Wow. Geez. Wow. You've been through a lot. I'm still laughing at the sex bit, but.
Well, it's brought me to where I am with what I want to do.
Absolutely. Yeah. And talking about that, so the people that you're going to be working with with this Alzheimer's and memory loss, what's your niche look like?
Well, it's a really interesting thing because a lot of symptoms start, mid-40s. You're not sure where you put your keys. You meet someone down the street and you mentally gone blank.
Yep.
On their name, and you're trying to just wave and how you doing sort of thing and not bring their name into the conversation. And that can all start then, but in reality it's actually started probably in your mid-20s or your early 30s.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it starts 15 to 20 years before your symptoms. So even though my niche is probably looking at working with, say, mid-40s on, my ultimate goal is to bring the awareness to even younger people as well. Yeah, because this Dr. Dale Bredesen, what he says or likens it to is your brain has holes in it, so to speak, and if you plug those holes, you reverse Alzheimer's or cognitive decline. So when he released his study back in 2014, what he did was he had 36 things that he identified. Wow. And nutrition will probably plug 10 of those holes. So now he's up to 50 holes, and he said it'll be somewhere between 50 and 100.
Yeah. But
in the final results and that sort of thing. But at the moment, nutrition is your one preventative strategy for people and that just fits in beautifully from a naturopathic point of view. I've been doing that for nearly 20 years. Yeah. The other area is exercise. Yep. and consistent exercise, and specifically too, it's your high intensity interval training.
Yeah, right. Well, that's right.
Yeah. Yeah. So getting that in and as a regular pastime. And of course, then the third one that's huge, again, plugging more than one hole, is your stress management.
Yeah, I think that's huge.
Yeah. And look, certainly bringing meditation, mindfulness and that sort of stuff. And then there's a whole lot of blood tests that you have to have done and make sure that you can get those right, because sometimes genetically you'll be more at risk than other things. So, yeah. But that's where I'm heading.
Yeah, fascinating. So the biggest issue relating to your market there is probably the older 40s when they're first aware of it. What is the biggest issue that comes that they have to face?
Well, it's a bit of an individual thing, because what he's done is he's identified multiple types of Alzheimer's.
Right.
So, you can have Alzheimer's from being insulin resistant. So, your sugar levels are not good in the body, okay? Yeah. That's one type. Another type is toxicity. So, it might be that you've had a mold infection or heavy metals or chemo or something like that. So to work with someone one, you can get those basic things like nutrition and all those that I've mentioned on track, but then you've really got to go exploring as to where else they're coming from and what their history is. So, yeah, that's very individual.
Yeah, look, you mentioned it before, but your top 3 tips for helping people sort of start out with coping and looking at what they've got. I think you mentioned before nutrition, exercise and stress management. So would they be your 3 top tips to start sort of being proactive?
Oh, definitely. But to make nutrition even or give it more clarity, so would be they're saying go keto.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah. So keto from that point of view, because ketones fuel the brain, you're going to actually be fueling it for new growth. Because with Alzheimer's, there's a lot of actual loss of tissue in the hippocampus, and all of that has to be regenerated. So going keto is ideal, but then, you know, a lot of keto stuff that you might see on, I don't know, Facebook, it's all about bacon and cheese, and that's not the keto that you need. So it's the leafy greens, smaller amount of protein, and not necessarily, certainly, you know, dropping down the kilos if you need to, but not necessarily remaining in a lifestyle of keto where you have no flexibility and constantly weight loss. It's just that edge of keto kind of time frame all the time with the nutrition.
It's really interesting you bring that up because I've been trying that for hormones and I've found really, really good.
Oh, massive. Yeah. Absolutely.
The hormones are fat, so it makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, look, and the difference you see in people's results that way is just from all of a sudden, you know, that they're feeling not like they want to strangle everyone a couple of times a month.
You know, we've all been pushed down, you know, low carbs, low sugar, whatever, and then fats are bad for you. They make you fat, but fats are so good. And so the new shift is getting the mind right about fats. Fats are so important in the diet. You know, good fats, not.
Well, that's it. And the brain, the majority is fat.
Yes.
So, you know, decades of low fat probably hasn't helped the whole incidence of cognitive decline in our population.
Hugely. It's giving me, look, when things really resonate with me, I get goosebumps down my back. And when I'm chatting with people, it hits home. So, you know, I could talk all day about nutrition. I'm just, you know, really passionate
about it. It's awesome, isn't it?
Well, you know, it's who we are.
Yeah.
But anyway, look, coming back to what we're talking about with all of the work that you're getting into now, what do you think you're most passionate about at the end of the day through all of this?
Look, I really think, you know, to eat as cleanly as possible, to be regular with your mindfulness and your meditation, to live in a way that is in harmony with the environment. I think, you know, you're off to a really good start from a health point of view. So I'm just trying to, after experiencing a lot of stress, I'm certainly a lot more mindful not to allow stress into my life or not to take it on board or to manage it differently. So, you know, to look at things with hindsight is it's always a great thing, isn't it?
Yeah. So overall, you're just really trying to prevent the decline of Alzheimer's and dementia.
Yeah. Well, look, the stats are so high at the moment with people going down with it as older people. You know, I just don't want to be one of them.
Yeah.
You know, falling off the perch at the end of a nice life is fantastic, but hanging around in a nursing home or hanging around at home and having someone care for me, you know, I read the book Still Alice.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't know if have you read it?
No.
Oh, my gosh. Oh. And she goes
Yes,
through.
absolutely. And I've just actually brought that for Chris Kringle presents.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, saw the movie, loved the book, couldn't put it down.
Well, I haven't seen the movie yet, but the book.
Oh my
She
God.
goes through that process.
Oh, it's just, look, that's giving me tingles too. It's just,
Yeah.
yeah, no,
And I thought, you know what? I just don't think I'd ever want a suicide, but that made me rethink my.
Yeah, totally. And who doesn't know someone that's got Alzheimer's or dementia, or someone's parents or grandparents, and the ones in the nursing home, and where's the quality of life? And for the quality of life for those caring for them around them, family.
Well, I'll tell you what Dr. Bredesen says. He says everyone knows a cancer survivor.
Yep.
No one knows an Alzheimer's survivor.
No. Yep.
And the other thing that, you know, from a stat point of view, 60% of people who have Alzheimer's are women. And
Whoa.
yeah. And then 60% of carers of an Alzheimer's person gets Alzheimer's.
Get out. Get out.
Yeah.
Scary stats.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see if that was linked to diet, with women with our crazy diets.
Well, you know, is it the diet? Is it the stress? They even actually raised the question, is Alzheimer's contagious?
Yeah, 60% of the carers, that's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
wow. Well, thank you so much for sharing some time with us.
Don't mean to depress you there, Sal.
Man, I'm going out. I'm literally going out to the gym right now to go and do some high intensity workouts.
Good girl.
And then coming back.
Go hard.
Go hard or go home. That's my motto.
Yeah, that's it. Come home, have your lovely leafy greens with a small bit of protein.
Love it, love it. Now, darling, if anybody wants to get in touch with you or find out more about what you're doing, where can I send them?
Well, look, at the moment, I'm still running with my old byline. They can get me at Leanne at mynaturopathonline.com.au or look me up on Facebook on My Naturopath Online. So anyone can get me through those too.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for sharing the time with us and really telling us about your story. I'm completely going, whoa, I can't believe that's happening this year. It's incredible.
Yeah.
You're laughing about it, you're positive, and you're looking at doing something positive about it and helping others. And I think that's just...
Yeah, well, that's right.
You know,
seen that picture and don't like the look of it.
Yeah, totally. That's right.
Yeah.
It's about taking action for some change. It's just...
Yeah.
Yeah, well, thanks again for spending time with us.
And thank you, Sal.
Yeah, so go and have some fun.
And I'm sure that's on the prescription too.
Yeah, correct. Beautiful. We'll see you soon.
All right, thank you. Bye.